Do you know how nice it is to go back to an event after taking 1 year off and just see that they just keep getting better and better each year?
That's it. That's my intro.
Hi, I'm Amanda. You're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about, wait, where's my badge? Open Sauce, the makers and science convention. I'm trying to think of like the best way to describe this because like this is kind of like a very like niche, but also very broad event. The first year was super niche, but this event, I think it's just really grown into itself and become more broad in the ways that like, I think people forget how much falls into the maker space. So, like there was like a whole animator panel. There's a bunch of cosplay stuff. Like if you make a thing on social media, okay, whether it's cosplay or like a Raspberry Pi robot that's also like a like home defense system that maybe also has like Richard Nixon's skinned face on it, then you could be at Open Sauce. Amanda, why are you there? Because they're very nice and they always invite me. For those of you who don't know, I reviewed the very first Open Sauce, okay? They invited me back last year. I went to my friend's wedding and decided not to double dip the weekend, which I now do several times a year. Anyways, they invited me back this year, okay? But I knew I didn't want to miss this year. My friends were like, you have to go. I want to see you. I missed all of my friends at VidCon, even though they were all in town. I ended up not being able to see any of them because I then traveled again like an insane person. I knew I wanted to go to see all my friends that I missed at VidCon. A bunch of my friends that came here were not at VidCon, okay? And also I knew I probably wanted to do an event review because you guys forgot or don't know that I reviewed the first Open Sauce, but also I do think it's a whole different beast now. So I knew I had to review it again. This is a really convoluted way of me trying to tell you that I flew in this morning from Open Sauce and I'm tired. But anyways, I did buy a badge for Open Sauce. And then very last minute, as in the week leading up to the event, when I had already booked my hotel and all of that and bought my badge, they asked me if I would like a guest badge. So of course I said yes, because I want to be able to spend time with my friends. But I didn't have time to refund the other ticket. So the badge that I ended up buying for myself, because I knew I probably wasn't going to make it out on Friday. Friday was an industry day. There was an industry badge that I believe was $1,000. And then if you had the guest badge or creator badge, speaker badge, things like that, you could get in that industry day as well, which a lot of people did. I knew there was a different show that I wanted to go to that day, and so I was probably not going to make it out to San Francisco in time. And so I got the premium admission 2-day pass, which was $417.41. That got me in, and then it also got me a creator round table, which I did RSVP for and then I didn't go to. Sorry, Allie. I was supposed to be another one of the people at your meeting. I didn't tell you. My bad. I hope you had fun. I just wasn't there. What Open Sauce does is if you have a premium badge, you can basically apply to go to a creator talk. And you basically rank the creators based off how much you would like to go to them, because most likely you're not going to get certain creators everyone wants to talk to. You know, you got some people that just have like giant fan bases. And so it's good to have like 10 different people that you would be cool having talks with. And I just put all my friends in there and I got put with Allie. And then I ended up not being able to make it in time. So, sorry. That's the cost of the ticket. And then this was free. They did last minute also ask if I would like, access to the creator hotel. I had already booked my hotel at that point and I was like, this seems like more stress. So I didn't bother changing it. So let me explain, Open Sauce. So Open Sauce Year 1, that video is still up. Still stand by that video because it's in its existence. And this is not one of those things where it's like, I hate doing repeat videos because I don't think this counts as a repeat video, okay? I hate doing 2 years in a row videos, okay, which I have finally stopped doing this year, okay? I didn't do one on Anime Expo. I did do one on VidCon, but that's a different story. That doesn't count. But I didn't do a video on it Open Sauce last year because I decided against going. And last year there were a few things that I heard. And one of my main critiques the first year was I just feel like there was a few things that were like growing pains that are just normal for a first year event where you don't know what you don't know. And nothing was like a hardcore safety issue or anything like that. It was one of those events that was like one of the first times since I started doing events post-lockdown that every time that one of you recognized me at the first Open Sauce, the first thing you would say is, oh my God, hi Swell, I'm so glad you're here. Have you seen this super cool thing here? I'm having the best time. And that was really common that first year. And I'm not used to that. Normally what happens is you guys are like, oh my God, Swell, thank God you're here. Let me tell you about the absolute utter full shenanigans that I've witnessed that you may have missed. Let me tell you what I've been going through. And that's not what I experienced the first year. And that's also not what I experienced this year. This year, same thing. Everyone had a blast. Every creator I spoke to had a blast. Everyone I was around, every time one of you stopped me outside, I met a lot of my mutuals. I forget you guys can like see when I follow you on other platforms. I'm a nosy person and I like things and I have a lot of interests and I would love to be a science creator that can build stuff, but I also have the attention span of an avocado, okay? And so I'm not scientifically inclined. I'm not tech inclined. I had my chat help walk me through ordering a pre-built gaming PC the other day because I was like, do not ask me about RAM. My brain just doesn't function this way, okay? But it's super cool, and so I like following tech people on small, short-form platforms. And then I forget that you guys can see that, and you're like, oh, I think we're mutuals. And I forget that it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm not just like a random user following this creator on this platform. No, I'm Swell Entertainment following people on this platform. And that's a very weird drawing experience, frankly. I'm still getting used to that. But anyways, everyone was super chill. Again, everyone was talking about like how much fun they had, or did you try this yet? Have you seen this yet? We're tabling, come check out our booth, things like that. And that's just really nice, especially when I know these are creators putting this event on and what a labor of love this is and how much time and effort and care goes into this. Like, that's really amazing for me to see. And then even from the creator side of things, normally I do not talk, I've talked about this a lot. I talked about this with Can Lions, that video, and how I said, normally I don't talk about parties, but I have no choice but to because it's a big element of this event for Can Lions. In this event, I feel like, I'm not going to go into detail about the parties because it's a respect thing. It's a privacy thing. Yes. Like, it's none of your business who's having 6 margaritas. That's none of your fucking business, frankly. The thing that I hear about open sauce from creators that are speakers, guests, whatever, what have you, I'm being vague because, again, I don't know everyone in the space. I just know an odd assortment of people that makes you all be like, you know them? Yeah, I'm kind of fucking cool, guys. No. I'm kind of like real fun to be around. A lot of creators just kept saying to me and to others, this is like old school VidCon in the way that it was like creator summer camp. It's fun for creators to come and meet up with each other and things like that. I talked about this in my VidCon video, the last one. Do you need VidCon? Do you, whether you're a creator or a fan or whatever, or a big creator or a small creator or an aspiring creator, do you need VidCon? One thing that I said is that a lot of my friends still go to VidCon for, yes, they like being able to meet their viewers, but they also love the chance to go and hang out with their friends because this is a very solitary job. And a lot of creators are spread all over the country, if not all over the world. And so events like this that we're not just all doing panels or whatever, but like there's a space that is comfortable and safe and vibey where we can all hang out and talk and just like have it not be a big deal. The amount of creators that I was just like, by the way, I love your videos. And they were like, wait, oh my God, I follow you on YouTube. I love your videos. And then now we're mutuals on Instagram. Like things like that are very fun. And this was like a very fun, vibey thing to go to as well, on top of being able to like go and rock around and see a bunch of people making cool robotics and things like that, or giant Paul Bunyan clock, like pocket watch that like actually winds and like works. That's crazy. Someone made that. Like that's so sick. VidCon is work. And a lot of times I think people forget that usually events like this are work. And so where it's really fun for creators is, one, getting to see your friends. Yes, getting to see your fans, but also being able to have fun and get drunk with creators that are usually across the country from you and things like that. Okay. It's a lot of that. And so parties are a big part of creator events in general. In influencing content creation, there's usually there's a party element. Okay. And to each their own. People like different things about different elements of this job. But something that was really nice about the parties that most people told me about, it's like, yeah, and I get to bring my +1. Like everyone's invited to this. Everyone that has a guest badge or has a speaker badge or whatever gets to go to the parties, you know? And even some of my friends that did not have guest badges, you know, that were just creators were like, hey, can we just come? And they were like, yeah, come on in. We'll get you on the list. You know, no big deal. There was a creator collective event, YouTube threw a party, you know, and I got on the list last minute. They just like RSVP'd me. A few of my friends were like, hello, we are creators. Can we please come in? And they were like, yeah, of course. Parties are a big element of VidCon, but VidCon is not throwing the parties for the most part, okay? It is sponsors and all of that putting parties outside of it. But because a lot of the parties were also taking place at the Creator Hotel, everything was one in a very clear spot, but also it was very easy to be like, yes, you have the right badge. You can come on in. It's chill. That was really good and helpful because one of the main complaints that I hear from creators in general, whether they go to VidCon one time or every year, is that a lot of the parties from brands, etc., there are often no +1s. Or it is very difficult to get a +1, especially if they are not another creator with X amount of followers. So I know people who can't bring their husbands and wives into VidCon parties, okay? Or like their siblings or even their friends that they want to bring because, hey, I don't want to go to a party alone. I would like to bring a buddy, type of thing. And so that was one thing that I heard as well, is that everyone was like just vibey and nice and fun, and like it was a good space. By the way, this is the third open sauce and third venue they have tried out. So the first one was in the Wharf area in San Francisco. The second one, I don't remember. This one was at San Mateo County Event Center. Yes. Okay. Which apparently had like a big makers fair market thing for years at this venue. And I heard no issues with the venue this year. So I do hope you guys keep this venue. I do think it's a super great venue. However, I do have a note. Most of my notes for this event are that I had a really fucking good time. Thank you for having me. This was really cool. My viewers are really fucking smart, frankly, because apparently a bunch of you had booths. Also, it's always really fun when people are like, hey, you make videos, right? I watched your open sauce video. Thank you. This is my first one. That's always really cool because that's not someone that knows me. That's not like a viewer. That's someone that just like searched up an event and saw my face and thought it looked trustworthy and then watched my video. And that's super sick. I like hearing that. That's very fun. I hope I turned all of you into viewers and you're all watching this right now. I'm being really pointy and dramatic today. You can tell I'm tired. I may have also had way too many Red Bulls at the airport. My note for this event, I love this venue. I do think this was a really great venue. It was partially outdoors and partially indoors. We'll walk through some of the things, more things in a second. I think you need to cap attendance, 500 people less, or take over that other building. I feel like you oversold just slightly, not in a bad way. It would be very easy to oversell this venue because you have the big outdoor space. And so you're like, oh, we can sell this like it's a fair. The number I heard was 30,000 people in and out of the venue. Some people were like, oh, I can see them trying to do 40, 50,000. I think you should cap it at least to 500 people less, maybe even more. Yes, the numbers make sense when you're like, we have all this outdoor space. This is fantastic. But then you often got to think about the fact that some people want to get out of the sun, but also a lot of the halls and talks, like there's a lot of people inside those things. And so those spaces become very crowded very quickly. The expo hall in particular, like to give you some comparison for like the size difference between the first open sauce and this one. I don't know if I remember getting the full, I think they gave me the full numbers last time when I was here at the first open sauce. That might be in that video. I don't remember off the top of my head what that was. But overall, the size of the actual like open sauce space last time that I went in 2023, okay, was basically the entirety of open sauce and then a little bit of outdoor space was the size of the expo hall alone for this year's open sauce. Maybe the first year's open sauce was slightly wider, larger square footage wise, maybe if you break it down. But looking around, I'm like, this seems pretty accurate to what I'm remembering it was the first year. The fact that there was the creator discussions behind Hall C, I do think was confusing for some people as well, though. At least one creator that I spoke to said it was a small group. I don't know how big those groups were supposed to be. I didn't end up going into mine, like I said. But I did hear a few people say it was a small group. So first day, Saturday, going out. I actually rode in with Robbie and Tori. They had a car, so we ended up parking it on the side of one of the roads because the driveway to get into the parking lot was the back lot. It was the main lot. That line was deranged. We didn't want to wait in that. They ended up figuring it out by day 2. So I don't know if they sorted something out parking wise. I ended up just taking an Uber the second day from my hotel, but it seemed drastically better parking situation wise day 2. So I'm assuming that was again, figuring it out from day 1 to day 2. How can we make this better? Fantastic. So right when you go inside, at least from this entrance, you have the giant robot head off to one side, and then you've got a row of tents. Here's a bunch of maker spaces and schools and colleges, robotics and engineering programs. There's the giant robot head. There's literally a map here. So enter here. There was also another entrance in the back here. I will take a photo of this and William will just like prop it up. Like right there, the giant robot head. And then inside Hall A was the big expo hall. And then this was the big main stage, the sauce stage. This one was super sick. It had a bunch of like the planets all set up. But Hall A, giant expo hall, like 4 or 5 rows. Here is the main expo hall. For comparison, I would say this is about the size of the first open class in its entirety, maybe a little bit smaller. I do think another thing that might be good if you want to keep this venue and keep the attendance size, maybe take out one of the rows that was in the expo hall, like one rows, and find a way to put them somewhere else. This hall as well had little offshoot rooms. I got to slap a dummy and it measured the force of my slap, which, side note, men will never understand the glee. I do think this is a woman thing. The glee I got to see of women walking up with their kids and being like, just to be able to slap the dummy. The guy whose face the dummy was modeled after was also watching people line up to slap him. Very funny. Very fun to get a bunch of creators to go like, hey, let's go slap the dummy and see who can slap the hardest. Very fun. That was in one of the offshoot rooms of Hall A. There was also a whole offshoot room that was just like a dark room that it was like a bunch of laser builds and exhibitors that were set up there, which was super cool. Hold on. I am filming. Can I call you back? Holy fuck, what the fuck is happening? Sorry, chat. Anarchy just called me to tell me Iron Mouse left V Shoujo. There is something going on at V Shoujo. I'm literally filming it. William, leave this in right now. Sorry. Anyways, so between these halls as well, which I do feel like that's where, I don't know, I love the style of the map, but there were also booths like between these two halls here. This is where the golden glizzy races were, where you could like decorate a hot dog and then put it on wheels. And then you could like race your hot dog. And then when it would get to the bottom, the one that was fastest would get tased. And then you would win a golden glizzy sticker. Sick. This also doesn't show it very well as well. You can't tell. There was booths all outside this outdoor area outside the stage. This is where a lot of the college and universities robotics clubs were, and a couple of different maker spaces were. And there was people walking around out here. Like I said, there was the robots and stuff. I just think, I don't know, a little bit more detail. There's a few things that like kind of indicate that there's a booth, but still I think a little bit more would be good. But yes, then all these here, water stations. There was water fountains inside. These did end up having a lot of lines. So I don't know if we want to try and make the water stations maybe a bigger deal in the future in some sense. There was like a coffee spot right here, so maybe that's why. Hall B was, I believe, a bunch of like games that people made, like tabletop games and things like that. And then Hall C was video games and like mobile games that people had made. And you could like, I got a bunch of stickers for waitlisting stuff on Steam because I'm finally gonna have a gaming PC and I get to be a real Twitch streamer and not a fake one with an iMac anymore. And then the creator discussions were back here. And then there was a outdoor stage here as well that actually had a lot of built-in booths already. This was a good space, I would say. I do think it got hot here, but I don't know how else I'd fix that because between Hall C and like in front of the outdoor stage is where they had a whole outdoor space that had a bunch of seats available. It was a big grass patch and they had tables and stuff. And then they had a bunch of food trucks around. Food trucks, great selection, very good variety. No one left that I could tell from day 1 to day 2, which is always a good sign because I have been to events where a bunch of food trucks are like, you lied to us about the attendance. Money is bad. We're dipping out. Peace out. You know, I have seen that. So the fact that they all stayed sounds dumb, bare minimum, but good sign. However, the lines would get crazy for these around lunchtime just because some people, I feel like, especially when you're at an event and you're busy and you're like, there's so much to see, you don't realize how hungry you are until you're literally starving sometimes because you just get excited. And let's face it, 90% of us probably have ADHD that's undiagnosed or diagnosed. It depends. Who knows? Something that I think would be really helpful is having a few little smaller carts that are like snacky foods. Pretzel cart, popcorn cart, a churro maybe. Something that's easy to grab and go and walk around because sometimes you don't want a taco. You just kind of want to grab something and walk and keep walking. Some spots, even if they had smaller options, like a bunch of spots had fries and stuff like that, but even then you're then waiting in that long line just to get something quick and easy. And now you're waiting for 30 minutes to get something quick and easy. And now you're starving again, so you might as well just get more food. Get my point? That would also help with breaking up the lines a little bit more because then people would be staggering when they needed to get food because especially it's like, okay, I got in at 10, not quite hungry for lunch, but at 12, I'm gonna get a pretzel. And then at 2 is when they actually go and get food, like kind of breaking things up a little bit more. So I do think that would be really helpful. And then also putting maybe some food spots around the sauce stage area, like maybe a few more food trucks, 1 or 2, or maybe these snacky carts over there. Might be good to break things up. And then second stage. So there being 3 main stages, a lot of creators told me they loved this. Okay, so let's face it. The reality is that VidCon just happened, okay? And so everyone was asking me about if I went to VidCon this year, and then they'd be like, they'd make a sound effect. In comparison to this, they're like, yeah, but this is great. There's no way around it. I can't deny that that's the reality of the situation. And what would happen when I would be like, oh yeah, I went to VidCon, and then I would hear someone go, that's not what you want from creators. But what happened a lot, and what some people said was, this is, oh God, Anarchy is telling me it's bad. It's so fucking bad. I'm so sorry. You guys are like getting bits and pieces. You guys are going to be like, yeah, we all know the Bishoujo lore by now. Meanwhile, I'm getting it in real time as I'm filming. Okay. They owe money to charity. Oh God. I need to finish filming. Anyways, a few creators told me that they liked the limited number of stages that they had because you'd rather have multiple talks that you want to go to and be missing and then have to go and watch the live stream later or whatever, then have there be stuff where you're like, I'm bored, so I'm just going to go to this, but I don't want to go to any of these talks. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But also because one person said that at VidCon, there's like a bajillion stages. That's the word that was used. And so none of them are ever full because no one knows where things are or what time things are and things like that. Whereas majority of the panels that I went to had very large crowds. You guys need to put the animators in the big stage if you guys keep this venue again. I understand. Every event that I go to that has an animator panel, without fail, this happens. Just in your brain, link animator channels to K-pop idols. I'm not even kidding. The turnout, you may not think about it, but like everyone watches animator channels. I'm dead serious. Their crowds, without fail, at every event I go to that has an animator panel, that's a bunch of YouTube animators, their panels are some of the biggest. They have some of the most dedicated audiences. They have some of the most age assorted and gender assorted audience members, okay? Because a lot of them are like storytime YouTubers simultaneously as being animator YouTubers. If you guys put them on the Sauce Plus stage, it would go crazy with it. Or the outdoor stage, but I do think that might be a hazard. But yeah, no, at one point I went to the animators panel. It was like the future of animation and stuff. And I looked behind me and it was like sardine packed in the back. Like every seat was full and then it was sardine packed in the back. So I do think you guys could put them on a bigger panel. Yeah, I went to a bunch of panels. It was great. A bunch of my friends were panel people. I offered to do moderation. I didn't hear anything back about that. So again, I'm obviously though with certain topics, you want to have science people moderating science panels. That makes sense. Okay. And I'd just be like, hey, you made this. That was cool as shit. Can you talk about, I would not swear, but you get my point. Okay. As far as vending goes, every vendor I spoke to had a really great time. A lot of Steam people were like letting us play games and had game demos and things like that. It was funny because sometimes I would be like, do you guys have like a channel? Do you guys post on Instagram? What do you guys do? And so someone would either have no social media presence, 7 followers, or 700,000 subscribers. And there was really not much of an in-between there when it came to me asking about people's socials and stuff. Some of my favorite ones. This one was one, I didn't get your name. I'm so sorry, I don't think. But you saw me from behind your booth and went, Swell, come look at my stuff after I'd already walked past. And so then I came over and you gave me a full demo of all the stuff that he made. He made a self-setting chessboard that made me go, oh shit, in front of children. Listen, I see cool things and my brain short circuits, okay? But open sauce is a very cool, all ages family event. And I just need to rein it in sometimes. But it was really cool. It turned into a box and then it would like lay out flat. It was really sick, actually. There was someone who had 3D printed like a orange like zester thingy that you could like crank and it would like juice the orange. There was a fish guiding a robot. Like the fish in the water actually like steered the robot. That was moving around. There was a trash can that I saw fall over 3 times. But it was really fun. I heard about the trash can. Oh no. There was a robot. Okay, this is, I think, one of the universities or one of the high schools, I believe. It would play soccer with you with a medicine ball, but it would also take the medicine ball if you kicked it at it, and it would wind it up and throw the medicine ball at you, and it could aim at you. Crazy. Very cool. Scary. There was a couple of people that had like the Boston Dynamics robots. Side note. I did see someone walking around. One had a boat. I never spoke to this person. I think it was a creator. It was like I think it was the Boston Dynamics robot. It was it's like a 4'9", 4'8" robot, like just close enough to my height that it stresses me out. actually, as someone who's 5'2", but he was holding it by the back handle, and I couldn't tell if he was trying to keep it from running away or like keep it upright at its proper height. And my brain immediately thought of him holding it on like one of those kitty backpack leashes. If I could draw, I would draw this so you understand what's going through my brain right now. But I think me just explaining one of those little, like the Adam Sandler robots that people are now like dressing like Adam Sandler for some reason while it runs down a hill or something or watches people play basketball. Have you seen these videos? I don't know why they're putting it in giant oversized stuff. But anyways, that thing, but with like a kitty backpack on and a bow tie on. Picture that. There was a bunch of like bigger companies too, like Crunch Labs and stuff had booths set up, a bunch of 3D printers. Blackmagic Design was there because they're everywhere. Smart. A lot of camera companies and stuff, which was cool. Like this amount of sponsors, I don't even think is like fully accurate. Like Insta360, Kickstarter, iFixit, Alan Becker, Curiosity Box, Oshcut, Prusa Research. Prusa does 3D printers. Listen, hypothetically, I probably shouldn't be someone that has access to a 3D printer because I'm not the type of person that should be allowed to play God. That being said, I would really like one. It would be super sick. Just throwing that out there. Anyways, so a few creators did say they wish their panels were longer. A lot of panels were like 30-ish minutes and they did wish it was longer, but I understand for a 2-day event, to have the variety of panels that you have with the 3 stages that you have, you do kind of gotta trim some fat here and there. A bunch of creators did like impromptu meet and greets outside after their panels, which was smart. If anything, you guys had your volunteer shirts be bright yellow. Fantastic. I noticed a lot more day 1 than I noticed day 2. I don't know if they didn't all come or if they were in specific spots that I didn't notice. I do think you could probably double and or triple your volunteer numbers. I know that's easier said than done, but I am also of the opinion you can never have too many volunteers, especially with an event at this size, especially if you want to continue to scale up. I do think more volunteers would be better. I did go in the VIP lounge, not the guest only lounge. That's the other one. That's what this got me into. This could basically get me into anywhere, which is super sick. I always appreciate badges like this. Also, side note, this is an actual circuit board. There was a booth where you could buy kits that you could bring these home with you to like build stuff on. It's like a button. I think it'll just light up. I don't know what it actually does. They did sell out of those kits, and the concept of me buying the kit and then having to solder myself stresses me out. I mean, I would do it. I would hurt myself, most likely, frankly. Like, there's just things that I know. Like, I could figure it out, 100%. It's a matter of if we want to risk me figuring it out. You get what I'm saying? Certain things I should just observe and document, truly. A lot of creators were, like, trying to figure out, like, what we could do and things like that with these. Merch line was good. You honestly could probably have another merch shop spot. That might be smart to break up the merch line, because the merch line was always fairly long, I would say, for both days. They had a mural building the entire time that, like, someone was doing, and then they invited all of the artist creators to come and like do little mini murals on like one side, which was very cool. Everyone was very excited to do that. Overall, I really can't express how literally every creator I spoke to was like, this is great. I'm having an amazing time. What are you going to say about this? Tell me what you think. Like, it was a lot of that. Again, it's really nice to see like the things that I noted as growing pains the first year, I didn't see this year, and that's great. A lot of these things are just like, you know, you're going to keep growing, and I would encourage you to do another year at this scale. If you are not going to scale down before scaling up, I encourage you to stay at this size before you do another year bigger, because you want to get more used to it. But like the team, everyone was very great. I want to make that abundantly clear. Everyone I spoke to was having a good time. I don't know, maybe I'll just fully pivot and become a maker channel now. Surprise, Amanda's just soldering shit. Like, there's things where I'm like, in concept, I could do this. In practice, I shouldn't. But that's why I love having maker friends that are creators, because then I can just be like, hey, I had this idea. You should do it on your channel. Because my brain never stops. A very fun time with all these creators. And like I said, there was a bunch of creators that I met this weekend that were super cool and like cool to hang out with and stuff. And like, we're like fucking up a bunch of chicken tenders together, which was super cool. So I don't know. It was really great. Everyone was very fun. I always love seeing all my friends' partners as well simultaneously, because I don't always get to see their partners, because a lot of them have offline partners and stuff, which is always cool. So just fun. The vibes were good. It was a fun time. I would love to go again next year. I think I would like to go again. This is just one of those events. I don't know if I would do another event review if they would want that, but you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I can see this becoming the replacement for my yearly VidCon trip. I can just see that being the case just because of the vibes alone. That's really going to be it. Did you go to Open Sauce? Have you ever heard of Open Sauce? Were you one of the people that was like, you should review Open Sauce? It's this great science and makers event, without knowing that I reviewed the first one? Did you see me at Open Sauce, but you didn't believe it was me because you were like, why would Swell be here? No way Swell is here. Swell is somewhere else. Let me know, comment down below, because I heard that a lot over DMs. Reminder, I stream on Twitch. My Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Reminder to check out Girly Pop Go for more car and motorsport content. Maybe that's my science. That is my science and makers channel. I just need to fucking do more videos. Shout out to my channel members. Alex, so join me on channel memberships. You can go and click join down below if you'd like to follow me on social media. That'll be all up here. And that's gonna be have a lovely day. Goodbye. Excuse me, can I pet your dog? Yay. Thank you so much. Yeah. Hello.